we do have time for questions and discussion, so I want to open it up. I encourage people who are listening to put your questions in the chat, and we can pick up on them. And I also, while we're hearing from you, I want to throw out just a couple of questions to get the panelists thinking, and maybe you want to respond to some while we are waiting for questions from the chat. So the first thing I want to throw out is how, if you could talk about how difficult it has been to get your fellow workers to organize, because it's hard, it's challenging. We know people are fearful for their jobs. And we also know that this thing called private equity is so kind of amorphous that people don't even understand how they relate to their employers. So how do you approach people, and what do you think has worked or not worked? And any of you are, I welcome you commenting on this. Who would like to jump in?
Hello. We visited a lot of stores when we were going through our negotiations to get the word out. Well, like I said, when we held those rallies, that got some people involved, and we went through the stores and we talked to quite a few of our employees to get the message across. So we got through to some we didn't, but some we did get through to get involved. But that's what we did. We went around from store to store and just tried to get many people involved as we could.
Great. Other folks want to jump in here? Or you might kind of think also about.
I got something. I'm sorry.
No.
So when we, I mean, I'd been doing a lot of rallies and different things for years, just because that's just who I am. But when we found out that HuffCorp was closing, our union pulled together, and some of our national reps come and help us get everything set up. But I know that like it didn't like bring our job back, but what I can say is it brought a lot more of awareness to our community. A lot of people just, they don't pay attention to stuff like that. And, you know, like people come up and say, you work at HuffCorp, right? And I'm like, HuffCorp's gone, you know, like, where have you been? But these protests and stuff, they bring awareness about these equity firms to the community as well. So I think it's very important to organize and get the word out there to the people.
That's great. And I would comment on your comment, which is that organizing certainly goes far beyond the workplace now, right? So that organizing in the workplace, in your communities, in your neighborhoods, at your churches, all create a movement in which you can build on and find ways to put pressure on the private equity firm, and also on your city council or on other members of the community to take action against those firms themselves. There's a question in the chat, which is, I don't know if people, I'll just take a stab at it, that from a university retiree who wants to know how to determine whether his university endowment is invested in private equity. And I believe universities are obligated to say where their investments are going, where the pension money is going, or where the endowment money is going. So I believe that you could go to the university trustees and get that information. It's certainly something that people have done, for example, when we fought against sweatshops, and we've gone to find out whether the university endowment is investing in sweatshops or South African apartheid, the companies there. So I would start there as a way to find out whether your university is invested in private equity. And a lot of universities are. That's a great question. Anyone else before I move on? What I was going to follow up with in terms of the question about organizing or getting support is, how you talk about getting over a fear of retaliation. So it's hard to stand up. It's so hard to put your life at risk in some ways, but clearly you all have done it. And so what did it take in your cases to say enough is enough?
If no one else is gonna go real quick. For me, I could see that there were some things that were wrong with Smart and I wanted to change, but for me, the biggest thing that got me to move to work with United for Respect and all that was my younger brother's death, and seeing how little management cared for us. I came in 2 days after he died to go to work to take my shift, and I was pulled into the office and berated, and I could see that, she alienated me from my coworkers. And my little brother was probably one of the sweetest souls anyone could ever know. He stuck up for people and he did what was right. And so because he can't do that anymore, because it's just me and my family, I decided that because he can't do it himself, that the way he can walk with me still is by doing what he would have done. So I'm out here standing up for other people that are too afraid. And I was afraid to lose my job and, get retaliation from it. But being afraid is part of what makes you stronger when it comes to these things. You have to be afraid and be willing to lose what might be the most important to get things done. And that's what this whole event has showed me.
Thank you so much, Isabella. Thank you so much. I thought I saw someone else. Jesse, I think you were going to jump in, or?
I will now. For me, it was just, I was tired of talking in circles. I've been a restaurant worker before I was an organizer for about 15 years. I'm originally from Atlanta, where it's 213, and we have about no protection in the South. And then I moved to Los Angeles and just experienced a whole different set of issues and, a whole separate set of what's happening across this country. And right as I arrived, I started to bartend in this city and realized really quickly that people were stealing from us and my team. I've also been classified as an independent contractor many times, and I think it just got to be, in the election, I have to say, the 2016 election really pushed me to, we got to do something. We have to stop talking in circles. And so how can we take, these after hour drinks? A lot of times industry workers will gather after work, they organize, they talk about their issues, but what are we really doing about it? And I really want to be a part of, the community and people who are trying to find solutions that are better for this country and for the people who work so hard. It's just a very moving movement. So that's it.
Thank you. That's terrific. Does someone else want to jump in on their experience in overcoming fear? Yeah, Zella.
I can remember the exact moment when I was like, I have to do something. A customer was coughing so loud that the people in the neighboring stalls were complaining to me. And when I spoke to my manager to address it, he brushed me off and said that we were in a rush. And when I walked home from work that day, I was like, this is unacceptable. I have to organize.
That's fabulous. So I'm going to need to end this incredible conversation and turn it back to Alicia, but just let me say that all of you are so inspiring. You give me hope. And I have to say that you really aren't alone. If we look at the amount of labor activism right now, the John Deere workers striking, the nurses in Worcester, Massachusetts striking for 6 months, the Kaiser workers threatening to strike, the Instacart workers, people all over. Union organizing has never been higher. It's amazing the amount of frustration that is turning into positive action in this country. And so we all ought to really take inspiration from that, build the momentum to go forward. And I'm doing that with my students who are really looking for meaning and want to do something to change the world and enter social justice movements. And so you all are inspiration to people like them. I'm going to be showing this webinar to my students, and I really want to thank you all for participating and for your wonderful hard work. And now let me turn it back over to Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Wow, we just went on a journey. We were in it together, and I am so proud of all of our participants today. This is not the scripted part. This is the Alicia being emotional and being engaged in real time part. But we'll go back to the script. On behalf of the Private Equity Stakeholder Project and Cornell University's ILR School, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Rosemary, for expertly moderating this conversation and providing such great insights. Thank you to all of our participants for being vulnerable in this space and telling your stories and being the leaders that we need right now. Thank you. We know you are all very busy, and we appreciate you for making space in your schedule to share your perspectives on issues of private equity labor relations that impacts us all. I want to thank Virginia and Jim for managing the various Zoom technological skills behind the scenes that people don't see, but we could not have done this without you. Thank you. And thank you to all of our wonderful attendees. Thank you for participating, for asking the questions, for being engaged. And we hope that this was a valuable and informative discussion. So just before we leave, and I hope you all can stay just a couple of minutes more, I wanted to give just a last shout out to a couple campaigns we'd love for you to participate in. So please consider supporting Zella's efforts by signing on to their Sonic petition, asking the company to give customers the option to tipped workers. Okay, I'm gonna say that again, tipped workers via credit cards in the car hop stalls, and require that customers wear masks in those car hop stalls to protect employees. I want you to stand in if you want, please stand in solidarity with PetSmart workers by signing on to their petition. Workers are calling on the owner of PetSmart private equity firm BC Partners to meet with a committee of frontline workers to discuss and resolve worker concerns. And to support Refresco workers, please check out their Twitter campaign asking owner PAI Partner to recognize their employees' union. Links will be in the chat, and we will also send out an email after this with all of the pertinent links. We will also be sending out a short feedback survey to each of you and would appreciate any reflections that you can provide on this forum. Your feedback will help us improve how we approach forums and webinars going forward. And we'll put a link in the chat, but if that doesn't work, don't worry, we're going to send you an email. And for more information on private equity employers, how you can get engaged, how you can get involved, how you can connect with Private Equity Stakeholder Project, please visit our website at pestakeholder.org. Again, that's pestakeholder.org. And thank you.